So I want to start this off. We've got roughly around 14 people that are on as of right now, and I'm sure there's going to be more that are going to come through. We are getting close to the end of the winter series, and today I want to talk about some really thought-provoking questions. Not just, hey, what can I do to get more business? I really want to challenge you guys a little bit today. Um, I I put all my thoughts together, and there's no doubt about it that I utilize ChatGPT, right? But I use it to help organize my thoughts. And I sat down day before yesterday and knew where I wanted to go with this. But it's really going to require some participation from you guys. And that's what I really love about the build and bond experience, because the build and bond experience is based on interaction between the contractors and themselves. So I'm going to be saying some things that are probably very thought provoking, but yet I'm also going to really tell you where I'm at. Um, I'm not going to try to come across as being super vulnerable, but I am going to tell you that there are some struggles that I'm dealing with, because I want to let you guys know that we're in this boat together. Even though I'm working for a big corporation that's there, doesn't mean that I still don't have the same problems and concerns that keep me up at night and keep me worrying about things just as much as you guys do. And I believe our whole team at Trident believes that we're all in this thing together. So I'm going to be asking 4 questions today, and I really want you guys to really throw some ideas and some thoughts into this of where you're at, and think inside where you're at and where the next stages are. We're going to do that for about maybe 30 minutes. So, pull up your couch, pull up some Dr. Phil. We're going to have some interesting thought processes that are going on. But I'm not one that likes to just always do surface level things. I think growth comes from really thought provoking questions and questioning everything, right? Then I would like to talk very briefly about where I would like to see this group go to, because we're at the end of the winter series, and your season's coming in, even though it may not be the end of the winter, but we are getting close to that. And I'd like to continue in towards the education and the training, and then talk about where we take this group next. And I would love for you all to be a part of it too. So, with that said, I'm going to start off with that. The title of this is the all in conversation that nobody wants to have, right? There's no fluff. There's no therapy session. It's just raw truth, right? So everybody always says that they are all in. It's easy to say, oh, I'm all in. I'm all in, right? Until it costs something, right? It so this is not about product. This is not about tools. It's not about, who's got the best marketing trick. This is the gap between your potential and your performance, right? There's a big difference. So I want to stop pretending, and you'll see where I'm going with this. So about a year ago, I was asked, what is the next level that we're going to take Trident to? What's the next product? What's the next thing that we can bring out there? And that was polyaspartic floors, the Nautilus system, right? Polyaspartic floors for me. I felt like that is something that there is a group of contractors that could benefit by offering this to their customers. Now, it's not for everyone. It's a whole nother level of expertise to be able to do these Nautilus floors than it is with paver sealing. But those people, I know that in our group, there are people that can excel in this, right? But I was at a plateau. I mean, I'm 49 years old. I know I look considerably younger than that. I get that, right? And I act considerably younger than that. I've got, you know, probably some growing up to do in certain areas. But I was at a comfortable range. I've got a great team. Yes, still had lots of problems that were coming up, but the plateau, it doesn't feel like failure. It felt stable. And so when my bosses came to me and said, "Do we want to take on this whole thing?" I was thinking about the money. Yeah, great. We can sell it, we can move it all around. But I got to make SDSs, TDSs, sales sheets, intro to polyaspartic, trainings. I'm going to be gone for 2 months straight from my family training people on this, right? Am I ready to make that type of commitment? And I'll be honest with you, there was a part of me that's like, do I really want to do all that? Do I want to add this new service? Do I want to go all in? Now, I can tell everybody that I'm all in, but do I really wanted to add that, right? And I'm just being raw with you guys. So the first of four questions that I want to ask is, are you building a scalable company or protecting a comfortable income? Are you avoiding risk because it might stretch you? See, I was avoiding the risk because I was afraid it was going to stretch me. Am I keeping or are you keeping smaller jobs because they're easier to manage? And are you structuring your business for growth or for productivity? I'm sorry, predictability. I wrote that down wrong. So, comfort, it builds ceilings, but growth breaks those ceilings. So, which ones are you choosing? Now, don't just tell me what we want to hear, because sometimes, like, I look at contractors up here that say I want to get off the truck, but they've been saying they've been wanting to get off the truck for 4 years. So which one is it? Are you wanting to build a scalable company, or are you being protective? Anybody have any thoughts with that?
Oh, Mike. So, so for the last 5 years, this has kind of been a quote unquote side hustle. That's turned into more of a side, more than just a side hustle, another full-time job. Yes, I still work a 7 to 3 full-time job, in addition to all the everything else that I do with my service. Um, and over the last 10 months, I have been in the same thought process as you are. How do we take it to the next level? Do I have enough work to bring on someone full time or a pair of guys to bring on full time? And I'm really at a hard crossroads because the individual that was working with me part time will be out of school looking for a full time job. Now, this individual has been working with me part time for over a year and a half now, has been very versed in all our services that we provide, and is very good at the services that we provide based on training on your end, training on my end. So it's like, and speaking with this individual's parents, who I'm very good friends with, he's at a crossroads too. Does he want to still continue in the trades because he's in a VOTEC school?
Mhm.
Does he go down that route? Or, as he puts it to his parents, I enjoy working with Nick because every day is something different. It's always challenging. So on my end, it's like, well, now I have another mouth to feed. But that other mouth to feed, can it scale the way I wanted to scale? And my end goal, and I have a year to make that decision is I can walk away from my full-time job by 27.
Great.
So I'm on a time clock right now to what am I doing in the next 9.5 months to make that happen. But can this opportunity of a potential full-time employee help scale the business to the next step and face the uncomfortable fear of a new struggle bus and so
Yeah.
forth like that?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Adding your first employee, adding, you know, your someone else that's requiring you now. I mean, if when you're a solo operator and you're going out there, you don't bring something in, it affects you and it affects your family, right?
Mhm.
But now it's affecting other people, and that's scary, right? I'm not again, this is not about all getting all up into our feelings and everything, but let's the whole purpose of this conversation is to let people know that we are all this idea that all of a sudden you start up a business and all of a sudden the rainbows come out and Skittles fall out of them is
Far
this
from the
is
truth.
it's a struggle,
Oh yeah.
right? And every day I remember when Danielle came in and I'll use her as an example is that when she came from being an office manager to a sales rep, right? It's it's welcome to the NFL. This is the NFL. Like you're going to come through that line and you're going to get hit in every direction. And she does a great job of doing that. And the same thing, it's I'm going to wake up today and figure out where I'm going to get hit from. But that's also where I need to spend my focus. And hats off to you for setting up that goal, right?
I appreciate
Andrew,
it.
I'm going to
Again,
jump
it's
to I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said I appreciate it. It's again, it's one of those things as a business owner, it's like, do you take that leap? And as I say, as Matthew McConaughey's little speech you see all over Instagram and so forth, are you in or are you just dipping your toe in it? It's like, yeah, maybe I'll do a little. No, 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 dive right in. So I'm at that point. It's like, do I dive right in, put all my trust in this individual, and you know, Hail Mary and pray that it goes the way it should?
One of the best pieces of advice that somebody told me. Do you have any kids?
Yes, I do. I have a daughter.
Do you remember when you had a kid and you thought you would just wait to have kids until you were going to be ready?
Oh, you're never gonna be ready.
My point exactly. But you figure it out
Yep, it's
because you
true.
have to, right? So when I get into those tough times and I go, I'm going to prep myself so much. I'm going to learn about this. I'm going to figure that out so that I can make the best decision. Sometimes the best decision is just to throw yourself into it and have a child. Now, I'm not saying go out and have a child, but I'm using that as a metaphor of that you will be forced to rise to that occasion because that child, I can't tell you, I came in at 2 o'clock in the morning a couple of times, did not care whether or not I came in at 2 o'clock in the morning. They wanted their Cheerios at 6:30 in the morning. You had to
Mhm.
figure it out and you will
Yep.
figure it out. Andrew, I'm going to jump over to you, bud.
Uh, so yeah, kind of in a similar boat, but I've been doing this a whole lot longer. So I've been in the cleaning industry since I was 15. I had a window cleaning business since I was 21. So I've been doing it for 25 years. Um, but I've always, well, with this business, it took a lot longer to get established. Because the previous business I bought from somebody, so it had a little bit of establishment. It wasn't very big, but it had a little something. This business I had to start from scratch because we moved to Charlotte and had to start completely over. Um, and for a long time, I just tried to keep it small, tried to keep it myself. Um, but the longer you get into it, the more you realize I can't do this day in, day out. Not that I'm that old, but it's just a lot more fatiguing. I start to have, I've got hand and wrist issues already, and things like that. So in the last, I would say 5 years, I kind of made that half attempt. I'm going to get off the truck, but I really wasn't getting completely off the truck. I had a guy that worked for me for 5 years and, really got to be really good at what he was doing, and my customers knew and trusted him. And I thought that was going to be a little longer term than it was. Last year, he just full out said, "No, I'm done with the industry. I'm not going to do it anymore," and walked away, which I'm a little surprised at because what he went to do was, work at a coffee shop, and I know he's not making the money he made with me. Um, but with all that being said, part of the problem is I kind of, half had my foot in the water, so to speak, half had it out because this whole time I've tried to stay on the truck and tried to keep up with everything off the truck, which really means I'm not doing a whole lot of great job either way. So this past year, I hired three young guys to work with me, and pretty much took my main guy and ran him up to speed pretty fast. Um, and he certainly got a lot to learn. And I invested in a whole new truck and all new equipment, which was a huge investment. So I'm at a point where, unlike any time I've ever been in business, I'm in a much deeper hole than I've ever been in. And I am not a salesman. That's not who I am. I've never been that person. If somebody doesn't feel they need or don't want something, I'm not a pushy person. And I don't mean to say salespeople are
Sure.
always pushy, but that's not my wiring. I'm wired to do a good job, and that sells. But that's also the other half of the problem. So I've been in Charlotte for 20 years now. Most of my customers know my level of service. And while I try to train my guys to have the same level of service, they're just newer at it. So there's things they don't see, they don't notice, customers come back at, and that's fine. There's going to be that. But it makes it hard to really feel like my attention's always divided.
Hmm.
I'm not really outselling solidly. I'm not really keeping up the best with maintenance. I'm not, you know, doing the best for my employees to make them want to stay, make them want to do their best job. Um, and so this year I'm just kind of struggling with creating, I feel like job wise I had systems, but in the background I didn't really have systems. So I'm trying to create systems, training systems, regular sales routines. We're also about 97% residential. So, shifting where we have a little bit more of commercial and residential because even though we're southern, we're not that far south. So we still have a season. So that's been a really big challenge. I'm very hopeful for this spring because the new truck is up and running. It's all wrapped and logoed, and all the equipment's going. And we're going to make a push in a slightly more consolidated direction. And
Hmm.
so that's just been, I think, the challenge is just even though you've got somebody in the truck and I'm more off the truck, it's still, there's just so many things to like constantly bounce and do. And oh, yeah, I said I would fix that machine and I didn't get it fixed, or whatever, make that improvement and I didn't do it. Um, so it's
I
been
can
a
show you a
real,
long list of to-do lists.
say I keep one daily in my Google Calendar. It never shortens.
Yeah,
So
it does. And not to cut you off, but
you're fine.
and I want to get to Brenda and to Christina too, but it's like a couple of days ago, I had to take a really strong look about how I was working with our sales team because it seemed like everything that we did was a fire. Oh, we got to focus in on Nautilus, like number one. That's the number one focus that we've got. And then 3 hours later, it was, we got to make sure that we're after new customers. And then the next focus was, we got to make sure that we're after, dealers. And then, oh my gosh, we got to make sure we're really focused in on, like, that's the number one thing. Well, I can't have nine number ones.
Exactly. Exactly.
And right now I felt like I was having nine number ones. And I'm constantly trying to spin this plate on top of the stick over here and then run and spin the plate over here and spin the plate over here, and all of them are number ones. But there's going to be times that certain things are number one, and sometimes there's times in which that number one is number six.
Yep.
Man, Andrew, I thought you were talking about me when you were describing your daily day, man. I was like,
I
I'm.
bet I bet you'd be surprised how many people on here are going, that's me. That's me. Watch this. Ready? All right, Brenda. Brenda, you're up.
Hey Mike, I just want to say thanks for doing this because Tammy asked me to post in the groups and I'm not a big before after photo because we all know how to do this. Um so I thought the raw chat is what I
Yeah.
want to do every week. It kind of gets to the business owner. I mean, you know me for years and I don't know, I wouldn't call it self-doubt, but I'm always like you hear all the things on the Facebook, how great these people are doing and everything else, and you're like, why am I not there? What am I doing wrong? And that's why I wanted to create raw chat so we can get into the nitty gritty and really talk. We all want to
Yeah.
learn about Trident, but we struggle as business owners because we see a squirrel every 2 seconds, right?
And I want to add into
Um,
that real quick.
mhm.
I remember you posting that up, and to be honest with you, I didn't really. I remember you posting up inside of the masters group about the raw talk. It may be the exact reason why it got into my subconscious to do this.
Well, then it worked
I
then,
really
right?
did not think of you posting it up and then correlating this until you just said that. So it's evidently something that was heavy on my heart that I wanted to talk about with the group, right? So I
And
appreciate that.
what did you used to always say? I'm the sister from another mother or
You
something.
are you are a sister from another mister.
Yeah. So that's why I want to do raw chat. And if it's okay, I'd like to continue that. I've got
Hmm.
5 more videos that, maybe I can do 1 or 2 a week. I don't want to bombard everybody, but just to get people thinking and realizing that we're all the same. We're not, I sat next to Tommy Mello, the garage door guy. I think a lot of people know who he is. And we talked about things. And man, he's a multimillionaire. He's got problems, right? So, and I think you were talking to me about getting off the truck for the past 4 years. I have been trying and trying and trying, dude. But
And I
it's
wasn't
like
talking specifically
I
about
I
you,
know
but I know if the shoe fits.
the shoe definitely fits, and I have been trying. I had a guy for 3 years, and I have a truck sitting, an extra little truck, so beginner can don't have to have the monster truck, but a little truck sitting in the warehouse for the past couple of years for someone to get in there, and he didn't want to drive. And I'm like, dude, we got to do something. We got to, elevate, right? So last year I went through about 10 different people trying to get somebody in that truck. Um, had a really hard time. So this year I'm hiring a different recruiter to hopefully help me hire people because dang, I'm old. My joints hurt. And I have 20 years of all this stuff that I've learned and I can't implement it because I'm stuck doing the job. And
Right.
it's really frustrating. Um, but last year I hired a VA. We got training videos up. We got SOPs made. We got really organized, and you know, I thought it was going to be a really good year, and it's probably my worst year. I mean, we didn't struggle, but I mean, it wasn't as profitable. So we all are going through these things, and I think it was last week, I ran into that 3-year-old employee. He was working at Lowe's, and he goes, "Yeah, I was thinking about giving you a call because I want to know if you take me back or not." he ran into alcohol problems, so that's why he left. And I said, yeah, let's get together. Let's go get a steak. We'll talk about what works for you. Go to the interview, totally different energy. And now he's like, well, if I come back, and then he was supposed to get back to me Thursday or Friday, ghosted. So it's like hiring has just been my pitfall. So, but the raw chat is really what I wanted to get people talking, figuring out, what each of us can do, letting the new people know that, hey, you're not alone. We've all been there. We're all going through it. So sorry for
Yeah.
rambling.
No, I think it's
Hey,
great.
Brenda,
Brent,
it's Marlo, real quick. You said that you see people on social media, and they look like they're killing it, and you're like, what's wrong with me? First of all, and this goes out to everybody, remember that social media is a highlight reel. You don't see all the behind the scenes stuff. Okay.
That's what I was meaning. I don't
Yeah.
do that anymore. I did when I started. Now it's like, okay, today I have a I'm very blessed. I have a very good 5-star rating. Today I got hit with 2 fake 1-star reviews, and
Saw that.
I did ask people in the group if they wouldn't mind going and reporting it. So if you have time, that would be really appreciated. But so that's another thing that you've got to look at. Are you gonna get hit with fake reviews, and what do you do? So, but no, I used to think that way. I can't say a little bit of me doesn't still feel that way, but you want to always, we always want to do the best we can, and we want to get as high as we can, not necessarily for the money, but and not for the ego, but to make you feel like you accomplished what others have accomplished.
Yeah. Well, and also there's a lot of accomplishments that aren't accomplishments. They're made up. I can't tell you how many times I've seen jobs that people said, I'm getting ready to do this big, huge job, but then they never post about it. Now, what's the odds that you're going to do $500,000, 500,000 square feet of pavers, and you're so excited about it, saying, we just signed the contract, and then they never post anything up about it? None, right? So be careful of the fake, right? And again, we're going to get onto that here in the next couple of questions, right? Christina, you had a question.
Yeah, so same with Brenda. So last year we hired 2 employees. It didn't work out. One of them just kind of spaced off. He was spacey. He didn't want to learn anything, but he was on time. He just didn't get anything. The other kid just never showed up. No call, no show. We definitely want to build this scalable. You know, Jerry's still on the truck. I'm on the truck back and forth, doing in-person estimates. So our hottest thing right now is trying to find valuable employees who, take the job as serious as we do. We want to scale this business, and it's extremely hard finding the right work.
This is I'm going to move on to the next question because I want to get into it. But Patricia, I do want to ask, I want to get to you too, because you waved your hands. That's here, right? If I were to give one small piece of advice is groom your employees as business owners, not employees, because it's only a matter of time before an employee thinks that they are a business owner,
Mhm.
and then they leave you. So I
Where
have
did
a
you guys find?
lot more. I have a lot more to talk about that subject, and maybe that's something we can talk about offline or something like that. But they have to have that sense of belonging, not just a paycheck, because when it's just a paycheck, you're no more they're no more related to you, and it's just kind of like why would I take a crap on my time when I can do it on the company dime, right? That whatever that whole story is, that joke
Hey,
or whatever
Mike,
it is, right?
can you
Yes.
repeat that what you just said about the employee?
treat Groom your employees as if they are business owners, They're growing their business and they have input and they're learning just the same way that you are. And don't treat employees as employees, because once they're employees, they will soon think that they are owners and they will leave you. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Copy that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Was
And I've
that
got a lot more.
don't groom or do groom?
Do groom them. Do
Yeah.
groom them. You've got to think about this, is that this is your truck and you are going to be running your business and I am going to pay you accordingly, right? It's exactly how Trident hired me.
That makes sense.
They told me,
Mhm.
you are going to build Trident. You are going to be a business owner. We are going to support you and help you. And in return, we're going to make a little bit of money. You're going to make a lot of money, but I'm going to multiply that by 9 salespeople and take a little bit off of each one. But you are the business owner. There's not a single person on here in Trident that did not hear me say 3 weeks ago, you are the CEO of your territory. If you're looking to Mike Kilgore to do an email broadcast, a text broadcast, and him to think about growing your territory, you have it wrong. It is your responsibility to build your territory. It is Mike's responsibility to give you the resources you need to be successful. And it's Brad and John's responsibility to support you along that way. Right? Now, I don't know why I got a little fired up on that. I got a little excited. I really didn't say it that way, but you all got the idea. So I want to move on to the next question. So let's talk about pricing. This kind of solidifies where we're coming from, right? So let's talk about money. And when I mean this, I mean, let's talk about money without hiding, right? Are you pricing based on value? We've heard that all the time. You got to know your value. You got to know your value. You got to know your value. Well, that's great, right? That's cute, right? But here's the real question. Are you pricing based on fear? So let me explain that. Do you drop your numbers before the customer pushes back? I used to. I used to go into a customer and say, yeah, I can't wait to do your pavers. It's going to look fantastic. It's going to be great. We're going to use, Cat 5 and blah, 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 blah. Cat 5 wasn't out at that time, but I'm going to say it. I'm not going to say what I was using then, but I'll say it. I was using Uraseal. I was using Uraseal at that time, right? And great product, so be it, right? But I would go in and say, hey, the price is going to be $1,500, but I'm running a special right now that you get $200 off. That's pricing based on fear. Do you hesitate before sending larger quotes? Right? Somebody comes in and says, I can't tell you how many times I get phone calls with this. Oh my gosh, I got a $30,000 quote. I don't know how to price this. I don't know what to do. Let me do all this research. Let me ask 15 people onto there. I don't know what to do. I need to make sure that I make it low enough that they're interested in it so that I can get it. That's based on fear. And are you competing with the cheapest contractor instead of competing with the best contractor? That's a whole new mind shift. Who cares about the 69-cent guy? Who cares about the 99-cent guy? It's great for us to say we're not going to think about that person. Let's worry about competing against the guy that's actually charging correctly and winning. That's who you want to compete against. Like, I don't want to go to, look, we're watching the Winter Olympics. Do you think they put the 19th place person on TV? They don't give them any showtime. They're showing the first, second, and third. And I can promise you that first, second, and third are not thinking about the 19th person. They're thinking about first, second, or third. They're trying to decide whether or not they're going to get a gold medal, silver medal, or a bronze medal. That's it. They're not thinking about whether or not you're getting a participation trophy or get to walk on the way out. So, underpricing is not a strategy, it's hesitation. If you don't respect your value, guess what? The market won't either. So, what's your thoughts about that? What's your thoughts about pricing on fear?
What do you
Can
say?
I?
Underpricing is what?
What's that?
Did you say underpricing
Is
is?
not a strategy. It's hesitation.
Mike, can I kind of give an example here of
Go
something
for
that
it.
we did?
Go for it.
So when I started my office here up in Massachusetts, one of my plans was to expand. And I did a year's worth of research down in New Jersey. And of course, I knew a bunch of people down there. And I, kind of was bouncing ideas off of them. And they said, "Look, it, bud, you're gonna come down here. You're gonna fall flat on your face. You cannot price the same as you do in Massachusetts." And I said, "Here, hold my beer." And I'm the type of person that I don't have fear in pricing. Um, so I went down there and did my pricing as I would up here in Massachusetts, and I was double what most people were, and it was very successful. Heard a lot of the $99 guys down there, um, but if you live in that fear, you'll never know what you can do with your pricing. And the other thing, the pricing sets you up to where you're getting quality customers, not just any old customer. So, when you're afraid to price, just keep in mind, don't try it. Push the market. See what you can do, what you can get. And I bet you it would surprise you.
True. Brenda?
Yeah, so I've been told I'm one of the highest around in my area. Um, but my proposal is much, much more detailed than anyone that has shown me what other people have done. Um, so I've had those thoughts too. Am I too high? We've been blessed to have plenty of work. Last year, like I said, was a little bit slower, but we had work every day. So my thoughts are, do I do it, like your belt and suspenders? Do I, clean it and then come in and put the joints in and use a sealer? And that way I can compete with the lower priced, $1,500 jobs. And I'm still, every year I kind of debate, do I do that? Do I offer that? And, you know, I'm still debating it at this point because, as times get a little different, are people going to pull back? We have pretty good, Columbus has very wealthy people, but they're still going to pull back a little bit. So, every year I do go through that pricing question.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, this is a very, very fear-driven industry. And what I mean by that is that, we react, we don't plan. So when it comes down, like we have a lot of highs and lows. I would say that more than 80%. This is just a off the cuff number, right? I don't have stats on this. Just my feeling of the people that I've known over the past 15 years of doing this, right? Majority of them are single operators, and they are in a reactive mode instead of a proactive mode. And typically, when you see the proactivity, it stems right after a convention. It stems right after a motivational speech. But let me just tell you, motivation is unreliable. It's unreliable. What I mean by that, right? You go to a show and guy comes out and he speaks and he's going, oh, hoorah, hoorah, you all can do it. You're great. Everything's fantastic. And 3 weeks later, after you get back, you didn't change any of your behaviors. You didn't change any of your strategies. You just came back feeling good. But motivation, yeah, it feels good. I can Tony Robbins you guys to death if I wanted to, right? I could tell you that you're a very special person and there's only one just like you and you're amazing. And tomorrow, if you put yourself and you put your minds to it, you can be incredible and you can be the owner of your domain. You can get your mind right and everything will happen. And guess what? The next day, I got to listen to another motivational speech. My name is Goggins. I ran 400 miles today. What did you do? Right? There's a long list of those motivational speakers, but at the end of the day, if you do not change your daily behavior to reflect your goals, you will be motivated short term, and long term, you will see no changes. So let me try this. What are the daily behaviors that you're going to change? What are the weekly behaviors that you're going to change? Do you track leads consistently? Not just stick them into your CRM and forget about them and just hope that there's going to be a refund that's back. Are you constantly reaching out to your leads? Are you looking at what type of customers are coming in? Do you follow up with these customers without excuses? I don't want to call them. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. They're probably having breakfast. Well, I don't want to call them at 10 o'clock in the morning because they just got done having breakfast. Am I going to call them at 11 o'clock? Well, hell, I don't want to do that. It's almost lunchtime. I don't want to bug them at lunchtime. Well, I don't want to call them at 1 o'clock because they just got back from lunch. They're probably answering a bunch of emails, right? Well, at 3 o'clock, you know what? I probably shouldn't call them at this time because they're thinking about what they're going to do for dinner and they got to go get their kids and stuff like that. We can always make excuses why we don't want to call our customers, but you know who's not making excuses? Anybody?
Your competition?
Bingo. Either you're calling them or someone else is because they still have a need. The question is are you willing to pick up the phone? So effort without structure is just straight up chaos. So what changes do you think that you feel that if you looked back in the last year, do you feel like these are the small strategies? If I could just get one or two out of a couple of you that just says, if I could just focus more on this, what would it be?
So
Anybody?
actually,
Sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say, so actually, this year in January, I started a thing where I wanted to be like the kind of the authority paver sealer in my area. So I started this whole thing where I started authority ads kind of thing, not the cheapest, not trying to sell discounts. And I started that ad January 3rd, and it's now February 17th. I've probably closed, I don't know, 15, 20 jobs, and I've made $35,000 since I started that ad. And I'm a solo operator, just a helper.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing, going back to what you're saying about pricing, is I wouldn't price on, like you said, hesitation. I just price how I know I want to make my money, how I know my worth, kind of what you were saying earlier. But I also go in and I educate the customer. So every estimate I do is in person. And there was one I was there for 30 minutes. And Danielle just shared my video. I just sealed strips and pavers. And that job I went to, guy had 2,600 square foot of pavers. It looked horrible, horrible field sealer. I went and explained everything to him, pointed out everything, and took my estimate, said he'd contact me back. He said he had another one. I said, it's great. Get more, you know, and I told him, I said, if you go with someone else, I said, just please make sure that they mention stripping. I said, if they don't, it'll look good for a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, and then it's just going to go back to this. Next day, he contacted me. He accepted my estimate on my CRM, and he calls me up, and he's like, "Hey, he's like, I accept your estimate." And he said that one guy went there, said it was going to be $2,400 to steel, so less than $1 a square foot. Didn't never mention anything about stripping, and I sold that job at like $3.25 a square foot. So, you know, positioning yourself, knowing the work, knowing the, you know, your pricing and pricing appropriately, and just giving them that knowledge can give you a big up against everybody else. Because I know there's so many guys out there that they just go give a measurement and say a price, and you're never going to land jobs educating a customer or not educating a customer. So that's been a big thing for me lately. And I mean, I've made $35,000 in not even 2 months by myself with just a helper on some days.
That's great.
And I work full time as a fireman too. So
Right.
And Mike, the other thing too is now is a good time to go to your past customers, write that email to them. I can't tell you how many times I've had customers not say, you know, like the last year, they weren't ready for me, but they saved up for it. And now they knew that they wanted to go with me and they're coming back. I just got two more approvals from people from last year that didn't accept, but they accepted this year and they're ready this year. So talk to your past prospects.
Yeah. I agree with you. I just had a phone call with with a guy that I talk to about every 2 or 3 months. He's very tall. We'll leave that at that. And he asked me, he said, "What can I do to really, you know, kickstart my year?" I said, "How long you been sealing?" 3 years. I said, "Don't you think it's about time to start resealing again? Let's go back to our customers that we already had and just ask them, hey, can I clean your house? Can I clean your dog? Can I clean your cat? Can I clean your roof? Can I reseal your pavers? Can I come out and give you a quick rinse or something else like that? Let me put another coat of sealer down. You know, let's get you protected. Let's get things off and rolling." There's at the build and bond, we talked about that there are two ways to grow your business. Sell more to the current customers that you have and sell to new customers. That is the only two ways to grow your business. You can have all the fancy trucks. You can have all the fancy banners. You can have all the fancy flyers, but it all breaks down into two categories. If you want to grow your business, you need to sell more to the current customers that you have. Really, there's three. Maintain the customers that you have. That's a small portion of it. Grow the customers, sell more to them. And number two is to sell to new customers. That's how you grow your business, right? There's a difference between growth and maintain, right? We had 4 different sections in the build and bomb, which was the win, how to grow, how to sell, and how to succeed, right? So I'm going to do one more question here, and then I'm going to close this thing up here. So there's this is probably the one that's going to be the hardest pill to swallow, right? This is the separating line, right? If you are in the same place 12 months from now, who is responsible? Not the economy, not the competition, not the crew, not your crew, right? There you go. Make it big, Jerry. Show us.
We
Right. Not the leads. It's you. It's you. If you're in the exact same spot 12 months from now, and the next question that typically comes out is, how do I change it? I don't know how to change it. Well, it's just like, look, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm a recovering alcoholic, right? Haven't had a drink in, I think, 14 years. I quit celebrating it 12 years ago because the longer I celebrate it, the longer I empower it. So I just said, I'm no longer an alcoholic, right? I drank. I was the party guy. I had all those things. I'll share my story sometime with everybody, and that's no problem, right? But every year that went by, oh, when Christmas gets done, I'll quit drinking. Oh, well, one more drink, I'll quit doing this. And they all tell you, you got to hit rock bottom before you make any changes. Well, that's typically correct. But I didn't want to lose my family. I didn't want to lose my whole world. I didn't want to lose my wife and children and all those other people. I didn't want to hit rock bottom and lose everything just so that I would finally make a change. And so I had to learn how to make that change and be inquisitive and ask questions. And more importantly, ask for help. So if that answer you makes you feel uncomfortable, good. I'm glad it does. Because there's not a single person on here. I'm going Tony Robbins now. There's not a single person on here, the 24 people that are online here, that I believe are just going to be subpar people. It is 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, and you guys are choosing, instead of sitting around and not doing anything, or doing some work, or doing some marketing, or going out and doing a job, to spend time with us to grow your thoughts and your processes. So that is where the true growth starts. So, are we going to make changes? And are we going to stop blaming the things that we can't control? So what does it look like for you in the next 12 months? Like when we come back to this in 12/17/2027, briefly have a couple of people tell me, what does your business look like in 2027 of February the 17th of 2027? What does it look like?
I know for me, my plan is I gotta have my two guys steady so that I can start focusing on the next two guys.
Awesome. Great. Christina, how about you?
Ours is off the truck, both of us, and then add additional truck too.
Yeah,
So
2 trucks.
have two trucks going. Myself and Jerry off the truck. Have a lead techs, right? And then maybe a helper for them, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely off the truck.
And you guys are going to identify the strategies that it's going to take to get you off the truck, right? Because you know what strategies are keeping you on the truck. It should be very easy to figure out what strategies it's going to take to get you off the truck. It's there's an old psychobabble concept called firing off, right? If you want to know what another person, when you're talking to somebody else and you want to know what they really truly mean when they're talking to you and they're addressing you, all you have to do is figure out what story is following off in yourself. Just listen to yourself, right? Again, I'm not trying to get all hippy dippy and stuff like that on you. But what I am trying to tell you is that if somebody is coming in and they're saying something towards jealousy, and inside of you, you're feeling jealousy, that's what they're feeling because they're firing it off in you. Same thing happens in the business. If I don't want to be on the truck, I know what it takes to be on the truck. I just got to define that down into individual pieces and figure out how to move those people in those individual pieces to other people so that they do it. And that's the steps, and start working those down. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to all of a sudden be off the truck on, March 1st. This is my day, I'm off the truck. You might be 20% off the truck this year or this beginning of the season. Next year, you might have a goal of being 75% off the truck. And then the following year, you're 100% off the truck. I think we try too hard to make the pain, which is being on the truck, go away so quickly that we don't spend the time to ease someone into it.
Yeah, we're working on that now.
Cool.
My problem
So,
is I eased them for too long.
right. Well, treat them like owners to a degree, right? You're still the owner, right? I mean, I know who my boss is. My boss is Brad Laguerre. He's the owner. I got a vice president. That's John Pultney, right? But they they guide me in directions, and I truly feel, even though I know I'm not the owner, I feel like I'm an owner of Trident. I'm not an owner on paper. Sure as hell not owner in a paycheck, but I sure feel like I have something vested into this.
A lot
When
of
my
people think
alarm,
you're the owner.
a lot of people think I'm the owner,
Mhm.
but I'll tell you I'm not. But I feel like I'm the owner. And because I feel like the owner, I have a choice at 7 o'clock in the morning: sleep in or get up and do something about it.
Yeah, we tried to ease people in last year,
Mhm.
but it just didn't work out, unfortunately.
Ended up hurting more than helping.
It ended up hurting, yeah, more than helping because they weren't taking our property protection, everything like that.
They didn't value what it
They
needed.
didn't value it. Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to end with this. This is kind of the reality of it all. Most contractors, they don't lack opportunity. They lack standards. That's hard. It's hard to hear it. I got to say it to myself all the time. And what I mean by that is that going all in, it means sometimes raising your prices, raising your expectations. More importantly, raising your execution. And here's the big one: eliminate weak habits. Again, motivational speech sounds great coming from Mike Kilgore. Great. He's telling me to eliminate weak habits. That's great, right? But we all know what those weak habits are. Replace those with positive habits. No one is going to come fix your business. No one is. If you think somebody's going to just call up Jerry and Christina and call up Brenda and call up Matt and go, hey, guess what? Today I'm going to fix your business. The only reason they say they're going to fix your business is because they're going to charge you $399 a month to do it. But they ain't coming to fix your business because they want to, right? No one is coming to fix your business. There's only one person responsible for the success of your business, and there's only one person that is responsible for the failure of your business, and that is you and me. Now, it's not my responsibility that your business fails. And it's not your responsibility that my business fails, but it is my responsibility if my business fails, and it's your responsibility if your business fails. I don't know if that made sense or not. I got halfway into that and I got lost, but you got the idea, right? So when this call ends, I don't want you to feel motivated. Not at all. That's not the whole purpose of this. I don't want you to feel motivated. I want you to feel responsible. I want you to look at your business. Right now is the time. You don't need to be reactive. You need to be proactive. Look at your business. More importantly, I said this at the Build and Bond event. There are things that we do in our business that we love to show people that we are busy, but at the end of the day, We are pretending to work. And I remember my dad telling me that 100 times growing up as a kid. Are you working or are you pretending to work? Are you shuffling papers or are you selling something? So the question is, are you actually all in? And I think that a majority of you guys are. So with that said, I'm gonna go into this. Then we'll just open it up for a little bit. I've got about 10 more minutes. I know some people need to take off, but I got about 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, then I got to get out of here. We are currently the whole sales team is reading a book. I don't know if you can see it or not, called The Pumpkin Plan. It was given to me by Josh Kozad. I would like, if anybody wants to get involved with it, I'm going to put the link up here again. Can one of the reps throw that up into the chat there while I finish talking? It's tridentprotects.com/book club, all lowercase bottom there. And you can go in there and you can actually click on the picture of the book and you can order the book. It's got Audible, it's got everything else like that. I will tell you that half the guys and girls on our team, when I told them we're going to be reading about the pumpkin plan, they made jokes like you would not believe. Even I had jokes about it. But what I can tell you is that this book is changing how we look at our customers and how we look at those and which ones are prize pumpkins and which ones are dying on the vine. And if you start reading this book, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. It helps keep us focused and directive. And every 2 weeks, we are getting together and doing a book club. I'm interested in continuing with a book club for those people that are interested and want to join into it. You can still listen in to what we're talking about. But if you would like to have an active participation in it, we're going to talk about a book and then do it like every 2 weeks. You know, we're getting ready to go into the season, so doing this every week is a little bit rough. But every couple of weeks, if we could do that, that would be great. May have to do it later on in the day than at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I suggest if you get a chance, get this book, go to the Pumpkin Plan. It's great. It's fun reading, pretty simple, pretty easy, but it's it's it really puts it in perspective of who you should be spending your time with. And as a matter of fact, that's the whole basis of the T3 University. So I'm going to kind of not completely cut it off. I know Brenda's got her hand up. I want her to jump into that. But I've kind of said everything that I wanted to say. I would love to get some feedback from you guys if you felt like this was kind of grounded and raw, right? What Brenda said, raw talk. Sometimes we just got to do that. Sometimes as a family, you gotta just have real conversations. All great relationships start with controversy of some sort. My best friend, we hated each other when we first met each other. So again, this was not a motivational speech. This is just real talk. And I hope that you all benefited from it. Brenda, what you got?
Yeah, just real quick, I know you got to go. One, I want to say thank you again for doing this because I think it's what we needed. That's why I did what I did. And hopefully you'll approve the following ones that I have. And I want to thank everyone on here that talked because it really makes a difference to make sure that we all know what each other is going through. And I was shocked to know that most of the people that were speaking didn't have employees like myself. I thought you all had employees. So thank you for stepping up and speaking your voice.
Cool. I hope to have real conversations with you guys like this because at the end of the day, I can go in and talk about cool stuff and oh, we got this new slick thing. Go in and here's how you do Facebook advertising and how stuff like that. Yeah, whatever. What really excites me is knowing that we're all in this boat together. I may be working for a company, but I can tell you there was a time where it was just me in a box with Trident, and it wasn't even named Trident at that time. But with hard work and a lot of setbacks, overall, it's been a pretty damn good gig. And to be honest with you guys, if it wasn't for the contractors that I work with every day and the people that I talk to, if I just sat there and talked to the 7 people that I work with the whole time, if I didn't have feedback from Brenda and from Jerry and from Andrew and from all the people that are on here and Christina, and I can go down the list, Chris, I could just, the master certifieds, these guys and girls is what makes me get up in the morning to just believe in my hearts of hearts that they need something from us to help out, to make us all successful, because honestly, we live in the greatest country in the world that gives us an opportunity to be able to go out and live a good dream. I'm not going into Republican, Democrat. I'm not doing all that. Let's just be honest. We have the ability to control our own futures, but we also have the ability to make our own excuses. The question is, which one do you choose? And I choose to get up and surround myself around people that are going to be real. I'm going to say, I got real problems that are going on, but I want to be successful. And I think that's you. So I'm done. It's 3:08. I hope this didn't discourage anybody. I hope it didn't offend anybody. But if it did, I wasn't trying to be offensive. I was just trying to get you to think.
It was good.
Cool. I enjoyed it. So I'm going to stop the recording.